PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of PharmaPhobic, brought to you by Achieve the Lifestyle, where we help you be the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself. I am here with my always very special guest, very special co-host, and very special partner in crime, my lovely wife, Janie.
Thanks, Dan.
I'm just always going to introduce you like you're new to the podcast.
Yeah, and you know I don't take compliments well, so when you just like say it, I'm like, I don't know what to use my hands.
It makes you uncomfortable. I'm the same way. People give me compliments. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
So we hit play because we were having a conversation.
So Dan has been suffering from Batmanitis, where he couldn't move his head without his full body.
Okay. Where does that stem from?
You were having issues with your neck.
Okay. So about we're going on 3 years now, I want to say. Maybe two and some change. I was working out, I remember, and I was warming up doing some push-ups, and I felt like I wasn't using my left arm. So I was like, something's not right. And I had a knot in my back under my shoulder blade, like really bad that I couldn't get rid of. And then I kind of felt tingling down my arm. I was like, I don't know. But at that moment where I felt like I wasn't using my left arm, I grabbed a dumbbell and tried to do like a single arm dumbbell bench press. And it was like a 40-pound dumbbell, which is not even warm-up weight for me because I'm so strong, guys. But anyway, I couldn't press it with my left arm. Like my tricep was out, my pec was out. The muscle was kind of dying.
Yeah, and so you were having atrophy. So
yeah, I was
physical signs that the muscle wasn't being utilized.
Yep, the muscle wasn't being utilized. I could see it in the mirror that my muscle was atrophying. So I ended up getting an MRI.
And we have to fill those sleeves now. We can't be having that.
Exactly. You don't want your triceps to go out and your pec to go down and then your shirt looks big on you. Come on now. You can't have that. But I remember I went to the VA and got an MRI and all this stuff, and they told me I had stenosis in my neck, which is a narrowing of the spinal canal, right? So that narrows, it touches the nerves, and it can shut some things down. Mm-hmm. Now, very common, you could get it in your lumbar spine. You get it in your C-spine, which is what I have. That's your neck, your cervical area. So that started a whole process of healing. Obviously, the VA being the awesome service that they are, they offered me surgery immediately. Oh, we could cut you open and work on your neck.
Just decompress that.
Yeah, through surgery. I was like, hell to the nah. Thank God I've never had to have surgery in my life. I'm not saying that's going to always be like that, but for now it has been. I've never had surgery. Nothing. I've never even had stitches.
Because you're not a snitch.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, let me not, God willing, I keep it that way till the day I perish and go to the other realm, to the unseen realm, to the kingdom of heaven with Jesus. Hopefully I go there with no stitches and no surgeries on my body. Anyway,
Fast forward to, it's been a process, but recently.
How did we fix it, quote unquote? It's managing, and I have to stay on top of it. It's manual therapy, so a lot of muscular release because the traps, the pec, even the lats, the serratus, subscap muscles, your scalenes in your neck, like the SCM that goes down the side of your neck, all these muscles get really tight. So, and then I end up, I can't really move my neck. And then you add jujitsu to that. So it's a lot of manual therapy, releasing, keeping that mobile, making sure that I'm activating and hitting heavy stuff, single arm with this arm so that it stays really strong. And those muscles, the nervous system keeps those muscles firing, right? And chiropractic. I started going to see a really good chiropractor, which people might be, oh, chiropractors are a scam. And I am going to agree with that when you go to the wrong person, right? So here's how I found the chiropractor that I'm seeing. One, they don't take insurance right off the rip. Guys, physical therapists, chiropractors, manual therapists, when you have to go see these people, 9 times out of 10, the really good ones, the ones that deal with athletes, the one that deal with people that want to be active, the ones that are going to get you back to doing the stuff that you love to do, 9 times out of 10, they will not take insurance. You will have to pay out of pocket, and they will be pricey, but they'll get you back.
But
okay?
that not taking insurance allows them to spend more time with you.
Yep.
Because if you go to physical therapy, I think is the most easily referenced one, because more people have probably touched that than chiropractic care. But if you go through one that pars with insurance, you might be slotted at the same time as other people, and the physical therapist has technicians or aides that are helping you, and your treatment isn't individualized as much as somebody who doesn't participate with insurance, and your appointment may be 15, 30 minutes, whereas this guy, will spend 30 minutes, 45, an hour with you if needed, and depending if it's an initial problem or just a follow-up.
So, it makes a difference. 2 things that now we're getting into, how do you find, if you need physical therapy, if you want to go see a good chiropractor, when I make a recommendation, this is what I tell people to look for. 1, the physical therapist. There are 2 types of physical therapists, right? There's the physical therapist that a guy like Aaron Rodgers would go see after he busts his Achilles tendon to get him to play again. And then there's a physical therapist that your grandma goes and sees after she has hip surgery, right? Now, what's the difference? The post-op physical therapists, nothing against them. We need them. It's a necessary thing. They're just focused on getting you like, oh, you can stand on 2 feet and move around with a walker. I did my job. You're good to go.
They just want to get you back to your ADLs, activities of daily living. So walking, toileting, dressing, being able to, just go about your day. Whereas a lot of people who go through surgery, so say, let's go with the example you gave, grandmother, versus if I went through the same surgery, broke a hip, say I broke a hip, right? Not likely, but just say it happens. We would be given the same physical therapy care and given the same outcomes in standard general physical therapy. Whereas, okay, you could argue that the elderly woman, she doesn't need to get back to deadlifting post-op. But what if I do? Where does that happen? That's not going to happen with conventional therapy. They're probably just going to tell me, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's this gray area with conventional therapists that, conventional physical therapists, that I've talked about before when I was working in conventional medicine, where, yes, let's get people back to doing their things by themselves, like day to day. But why not? Let's help them get stronger. Let's help them get better too. So guess what? So this doesn't happen again. Or because you broke your hip and now you're walking a little bit funny because you can walk, but they didn't get you stronger. Now your knee starts to take a little bit more stress. Now you have a knee problem. And so there is a lot to be desired within the conventional physical therapy model, especially for people who you're not a paid athlete, but you're also not the typical
you're an
sedentary
athlete
person.
of life. You want to work out. You want to play pickleball.
Athlete.
Yeah, exactly. An everyday athlete. There you go. So it is, things that to look for here if you are the type of person that wants to stay active and you get a setback, right? You get injured. 1, first of all, we ain't stopping. Can't stop, won't stop. What? So modify, okay? And don't be, you make adjustments, not excuses, like that shirt that I have. So that's the first one. And then it's finding one of these providers, right, that are better equipped to get you back to your activity levels. Things that I look for, And when I make the recommendation, one, obviously it's not the rule, but 9 out of 10, like I said, they won't take insurance. So if you find somebody and it's like, yeah, they don't take insurance, you're on the right path, right? You're looking in the right place. Second, the physical therapist or the chiropractor, they tend to be a little bit more holistic in nature. The physical therapist office looks more like a gym than just a place with little bands and tables to put, stem therapy on you or whatever. They'll have all that, but they'll also have weights and things like that. The physical therapists themselves will probably look like somebody that works out.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
They are going to be into fitness.
Do they practice what they preach?
Yep, they practice what they preach. They're going to be into fitness themselves. They can talk to you about nutrition and all this other stuff. So they're going to be fitness practitioners themselves, like at a fairly decent level.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like the chiropractor that we go to, is because he also does martial arts.
Yep.
So a lot of our issues just from the nature of jiu-jitsu stem from it, right? Or are exacerbated from it because they may have been pre-existing. And because he's familiar with jiu-jitsu and other martial arts, I can talk to him, say, hey, this is what I want to do, instead of just being like a hard no, don't do that. Because if they're not familiar with it, more often than not, they're going to say, just don't do that.
Yep. You tell them the activity you do, and they're thinking of ways that you could be limited, and they're talking about muscles and muscle actions and be like, we should probably work on this because that's going to help you with your paddle swing if you're playing pickleball, or it's going to help you with your lateral movement, whatever it may be.
And they can also identify the mechanism of action that's causing the issue or exacerbating the issue.
Yep.
And then maybe modify how you execute that movement.
Yep. So these are things that you start seeing and putting together, and you be like, okay, that's the type of person that I can work with, right? That's going to help me get back to play, if you will.
Yep.
They're very different. Same titles, very different. The chiropractors, they tend to be very movement focused and movement oriented. So it's not necessarily you show up and they just crack you a couple times and send you on your way and give me $300. It's not that kind of thing. It's more like, you need to do these exercises so that you can rotate your hips better, blah, blah, blah. That'll free up some muscles over here. They start talking to you like that. They'll talk to you about nutrition and stress management and that sort of thing, because they're a little bit more holistic minded. So anyway, my road in dealing with this injury, where did it come from? My assumption, my theory is I wore a helmet for almost 12 years, bouncing around in tactical vehicles and that sort of thing. You hit your head. And
you got a big head, so that helmet had to be hefty.
God. Are you listening to this, Janine? My wife is over here making fun of me, of my head. Girl. But yes, helmet, big head. I jumped out of planes. And then when you jump out of a plane, you're like compressing your neck down like that. So all of that is a factor. Then jiu-jitsu, my style has been, I'm a stubborn person, y'all. So I always tell people that you could tell personality types by how they roll, how they fight in jiu-jitsu, and, the ears and that sort of thing. I use my head a lot. I'm doing it less ever since I got the neck injury. I've changed it up so I don't put more pressure than I have to on my neck. But anyway, I'm sure that played a part. So eventually everything came to a head, and stenosis in the neck. So now pun intended, came to the head. Didn't even do it on purpose. But so the management strategy has been that I see a chiropractor once a month, and we move, we crack some stuff and make sure things are moving. And then manual therapy is the other one. So today I went to see a guy because I took a knee to the head last week in a guard pass. I was laying on my side. He passed, took a knee to the head and kind of stretched me to my right. And
you got a zinger.
I got a zinger. I felt it immediately. I was like, ooh, that's going to suck. And, my crazy behind is like, should I just stop and chill for a second, or should I just keep going? And I'll let you guess what I did. I kept going, because, hey, listen, we here, okay? So, but that turned into, the nerve pain started, not nerve pain, but the sense of nerves shooting down the arm started coming back. So I had to go get worked on today, and oh boy, did some work on my neck. Yep. I mean, it was like he was pinching in my scalenes, which are right in between your traps and your clavicle, for those that are listening. and making me rotate my head, and I could feel my face stretching. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, whoop, 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 whoop. Look at my neck. Look at it go. Look at it go. You got to watch it on YouTube.
Careful. Don't pull it.
Anyway, that's a long intro, and that's something we weren't planning on talking about, but I feel like that's actually pretty helpful to people if they need to pick a physical therapist or a chiropractor. Guys, if you need physical therapist or chiropractor recommendations and you're kind of, do these people meet the criteria that you're talking about? Hey, DM us. Yeah. Email us. We love pointing people in the right direction for sure.
And if we don't know, we're connected with people who have a greater reach than us. So like our friend Arlen is part of the, was it exercise movement, something like that?
He's
I can't remember. He's part of
Active Life RX.
Yeah, Active Life RX.
You know what? Yeah, there's a lot of
and then
people in that network.
Our Power Athlete connections, there's a lot of physical therapists in there. So for example, when I was trying to help my dad out for physical therapy, there was 2 guys that are in Kansas. Now they're in the Kansas City area, but they were able to have identify colleagues in Wichita. And so I was able to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we love connecting people to that, because I mean, if you get injured, you want the right help so that you could just get back to doing what you're doing. You don't want to. And
unfortunately, surgery, especially on the spine, unless it's an immediate, like you're having weakness, can't move. Like if you just couldn't move your left arm at all, that would be different.
Yeah.
But to jump to surgery on the spine so quickly is...
My boy at the VA went from you have stenosis to you need to get that thing cut open.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
No, thank you, sir. And that's part of being informed and knowing a little bit better and knowing that it wasn't that bad. Like, I have nerve sense down my arm. I'm like, there's an option here. There's, like Janie said, it could have been if it were really bad where I can't move my arm and down to my fingers and that sort of thing. Okay, that's a different story. But it was not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now look at that. I mean, I got my arm back. I got to stay on top of it, but it's better than having freaking neck surgery, right? I mean, what were they going to do? Fuse a couple of the discs? Like that ain't it, Chief.
Oh, I'm not super familiar with that. Yeah. I just know that I've just heard way too many people I've heard people who've had surgery on their C-spine and L-spine who they're like, oh, thank goodness I did it. It's great. But equally so, I've heard people who've had these surgeries that they have to go in for subsequent and their quality of life did not improve with the surgery, which that was the biggest hope of it.
So observationally, because I know a couple people, more lumbar injuries, people that get 1 to 2 discs done, be it fusions or whatever, 1 to 2, they tend to be of that ilk that say was the greatest decision. I got my life back. They're a little tight, and you can see the movement because, guys, unfortunately, when you lock something that's supposed to be mobile up, the body's gonna look for that movement somewhere else.
Yeah.
So let's say you hurt your knee and we immobilize your knee. The knee's meant to bend like that. So if it loses that movement, you're gonna have to compensate from your hips and from your ankles, right? Or a better example is when you lock the ankle up, that it's a gyrating type of joint. The knee starts to take a lot of forces. What?
The gyrating is not the right.
Oh, I didn't use the right anatomical term.
No, it's just.
I'm trying to be relatable here. I'm not trying to get too scientific.
So I would say the ankle more like rotates.
It's a rotating, but I'm saying
gyrating's like
just gyrating like them hips.
Oh.
Okay, but you guys, the ankle rotates, right? It's a very mobile joint. So if you lock the ankle up, like a lot of people do playing basketball, they wear those ankle braces and you lock it up, what's going to happen is your body's going to look for movement from your knee. So you're going to start getting some knee pain, right? Yep. Maybe potentially worse, it could go up all the way up to the hip. But with fusions, that tends to happen where you lock something up, you're going to end up compensating from somewhere else. Now, 1 to 2 people tend to be okay with. When you go past that, like I've had clients that had 4 and 5, and they were very unhappy with their surgeries. They're like, why did I do this to myself? Because now all the pressure went to the hips. Their hips are very immobile, that sort of thing.
Which Again, in the conventional model, I'm dealing with this with my father because he's having hip pain and they keep going back and forth. It's coming from your back. It's coming from the hip. He maybe went to one bout of physical therapy at the conventional. And I'm sitting here saying, like, yes, you need physical therapy, but you need more of like a strength aspect because you need to increase the strength of your gluteal muscles. You need to, how is your core strength? How's your back strength? Like all these things, but they're not addressing it. And they're just telling him surgery. Now, give credit to my father. He has seen men that he is around a lot who've had back surgeries who are now in a world of hurt and on chronic opioids. And he doesn't want that. So he's more afraid of back surgery, not that he understands it.
Mm-hmm.
He's more afraid, so he won't have it. But then when I say like, hey, you should do some strength training or get in with a knowledgeable strength coach who also has some, actually it would be a physical therapist who's also a strength coach because there's actually a lot of those.
Yeah,
and those
that's
are
a
kind
really
of the
good
sweet
one.
spot.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot.
But his response to me is like, well, what's that going to do? I can't do anything. And it's, you can only lead them, right? You can't force them. So, but it is hard for some people to comprehend.
I'll give
But
him
I would
props.
argue before going under anesthesia, under a knife, why not exhaust all other options?
Yeah, no doubt. I'll give him props because he judged by the fruits. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
these surgeries, these are the results that I'm seeing.
Right.
And it doesn't look good. Why would I want to partake in that? So I'll give him that. And, you know, like I said, it depends. Like
I know, but if he doesn't address it, he's in chronic pain. That disrupts his sleep.
He's like,
Disrupting sleep is going to, you know, yes. And so it's, you know, it's a battle, but, you know, just providing information is all I can do and giving him resources, and then he can choose whether or not to follow through on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that helps, guys. That I think that was impromptu, but that's a good topic. I don't think we would have ever touched that if I hadn't talked about.
Dan's just really excited that he can move his head.
Yeah, no, I feel great. I feel doo-doo. Anyway, okay. Transitioning here. We're going to talk, we got two little topics, and then we're going to talk about something else that's kind of weighing on my mind. I was reading this study about testosterone levels in men and endurance training. So men that are very endurance biased in their training, meaning triathlons, cycling, long distance running, marathon runners that put in a lot of volume of work, and their T levels are
testosterone.
Testosterone is low. So these really lean, skinny in a lot of cases, men that people would think like, you know, for the longest we've been using marathon runners as like, he's super healthy, he's a marathon runner. Mm-hmm. And you know, it took a while for people to be like, not necessarily. We've talked about this before here, where you skew yourself so far in one direction in the name of health, where you start going into that performance, you know, that you actually make yourself unhealthy, right? So this is a study kind of confirming that information. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just going to beat up on endurance runners here, because the same thing could be said of power lifters, strongman competitors, shot put throwers, that guys that, you know, linemen in football, where they're just like, I need you to be 350 pounds by any means necessary, and they just end up getting fat. So you're a really athletic fat dude at that point, which is not that healthy. Those guys, the first thing they do when they retire is lose that weight. Anyway, going through the particulars of the study, okay, endurance trained men with low testosterone levels, they say 20 to 40% below normal levels. Now, when we talk about normal by mainstream medicine, okay, testosterone levels normal are 300 to 1,000. That's what they would call normal, okay? Truth is, if you're in the 300s, you're actually pretty low. You're not anywhere near optimal, even though they might tell you you're good to go, you're normal, right? So these guys are 20 to 40% below what the mainstream would call normal. So they're running around with 200s, 100s, whatever, okay? And in some cases, their levels are 50 to 75% that of a sedentary male. So these dudes that are literally running around every day, all this physical performance, all this physical fitness work are 50 to 75% below in testosterone levels a dude that sits on his couch and plays PlayStation or something. You're putting in all that work to put yourself below the dude that doesn't do anything.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it. Because if you think about it, hormones are a luxury, right? So if you think of typical endurance athletes, they're undernourished, highly stressed.
Yep.
And so when the body's under a great amount of stress, it's prioritizing recovery, breathing, heart beating, creating glucose to get to the muscles, breaking down things, recovering things. It doesn't care about digestion, hormones, reproduction,
doesn't care about your
any of that.
boners or none
But
of that. Yep.
the person sitting on the couch, if they're sedentary, I'm assuming they have adequate amounts of energy. They're consuming more than enough food, right? So the body is probably, I mean, you can be so sedentary and, thunder, can be so sedentary and eating so unhealthily that it could affect your hormones. But from what I looked in the study, they didn't talk about the sedentary too much on what they were eating
they were just
or anything
focused
like
on,
that.
No, they were
activity.
just focused on these guys.
So they may have more adequate energy. I'm not saying it's coming from optimal sources, but then their testosterone's not taking a hit because there's that sweet spot with stress to where you promote optimization, but then if you overstress the body, you can decrease immune
hence
function
like when you
and
lift
everything.
heavy weights or you do some good works, even zone 2 or even some like sprinting or something like that, it actually promotes.
Yeah.
It gives you
well, because what do you do
good,
when you lift, like to adequately lift heavy weights and to adequately sprint? What do you do right after?
Yeah, you rest
For like 2-3 minutes.
And then it gives you, it has a strong androgen response, right? Like, so you boost testosterone by doing that.
Adequate resistance training, it's not, you don't do heavy legs Monday and then heavy legs Tuesday. You allow 48, 72 hours before you hit that again if you do in that week. And so anyway, so I don't think in that study there was enough information about the sedentary person because I'm not surprised that a person doing endurance, because when I think of the endurance person, I think of high rocks, I think of ultra marathoners, or I think of people who stick to endurance, like women who want to do these like long runs and like marathons and everything. To me, I'm like, why are you addicted to cortisol and stress? Why do you want to feel like that?
It's very catabolic too. Like if you're not fueling properly, which listen, so, okay, let's pause here for a second. Because you mentioned high rocks, which is gaining a lot of popularity.
Hybrid rock stars.
When I found out that's what it stood for, I puked a little bit in my mouth. I'm not going to lie. Listen, if you're into high rocks, cool, you're into physical activity.
It's like, hey, we were into CrossFit.
Yeah,
I still would choose CrossFit over high rocks, but we understand.
But I got no beef with you if you're into high rocks, right? Like it's physical activity. Cool.
It's just hard to do.
It's something to pursue.
CrossFit or high rocks, smart in a smart way.
So and here's where I'm not. Okay, let me pause here. I'm not trying to poo-poo on high rock. No, I am gonna poo-poo on it. Here's the thing: high rocks is a competition, right? It's a race. It's a competition. Similar to the mistake that CrossFit made years ago when they decided to flavor everything around competition style CrossFit. So they had moms and dads and grandmas and corporate America type people doing CrossFit Games workouts at the local box. That was a mistake, right? You strayed away from the original design of CrossFit, which was a 3-day on, 1-day off model, which had a strength day, it had a short Metcon day, and it had a longer aerobic type Metcon another day, metabolic conditioning for the non-initiated in CrossFit. And then you took a day off and then you ran it again, right? That was a very balanced approach. Then they bastardized it and turned it into CrossFit Games every day, all day, every day. Everybody, whether you're in shape or out of shape, if you walk through these doors, I'm going to kick you in the mouth with a CrossFit Games style workout. But it's okay because we're going to scale it to you, right?
Yeah.
So that was the mistake that CrossFit made, which now if you look at it, CrossFit as a fitness modality has lost a lot of steam. Janie and I were present in the heyday. I was there before that, but we watched it go to its peak. And from there, it's been a steady nosedive, right? There are still a few CrossFit gyms, a lot of them unaffiliated. They dropped the CrossFit from their name, and they took a very varied approach, meaning they do bodybuilding, they do strongman, they do Olympic lifting, they do strength and conditioning based stuff. They really balance everything out, and they ran away from the CrossFit Games all day, every day model, okay? Now, High Rocks is the hot thing now, and they are making the same mistake that CrossFit did back in the day. They're opening High Rocks gyms, and this is where you train for High Rocks, and it's all about the fitness competition High Rocks. Here's the downside of this. I used to work with people that were High Rocks competitors, and I've seen how they were training. Love you guys. If you ever listen to this, you guys work really hard. I can't responsibly tell the average 40-year-old that just wants to be stronger, healthier, and more capable to train that way every day of their life.
Yeah.
These guys were doing workouts. I remember because I was sharing the gym space with them one day. They had the clock going. I watched them start. I did my full workout. They were still going. It was like an hour and some change of nonstop working out. Run, carry, wall balls, push this, come back, run again, ski erg. And I'm just like, yo, that is a cortisol spike, uncontrolled volume, hormone crashing, catabolic. I mean, at that point, if you're gonna do this, you have to eat a lot of calories.
And it's also for the person who wants to dabble in it, okay, but the person who seeks it out, it's like, who hurt you?
Yeah.
What are you running from?
No.
Why do you want to feel so bad physically, right?
No doubt.
And so this is very complex of why people are so attracted to that. I know a lot of women, it's like an achievement to complete.
Can you explain what that is for the layman?
High Rocks?
Yeah.
So High Rocks is, Janine asked, could they hear you, Janine?
Yes.
Okay. So High Rocks is lovely producer Janie.
She has control of the microphones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was like I didn't know if that would. High Rocks. Janie said it stands for Hybrid Rockstar. Sorry, guys, that's a terrible name. It's like they call them fitness races, right? And they'll do different events globally. I mean, at this point, they do them in Germany. They do them in major cities everywhere. It's depending on where you go. It's a race. It involves running, rowing, ski ergs. They'll do like sandbag carries or farmers carries, sled pushing. Yeah, sled pulls or pushes, medicine ball.
That sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting.
But then they'll also do, what have I seen? Like burpee broad jumps.
Yep, burpee broad jumps. It depends on which competition you show up to. They'll vary the race. Gotta give them this. You know what the race looks like before you get there.
Yeah. And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee, or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chalkless has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at Summer Strong using Chocolates. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chocolates.com and use code JaneBrown to snag 10% off your order. But also it's, these races aren't short of, 60 minutes, 45 minutes?
No,
I don't know.
it'll take you, it's probably a good time in a high race. They're usually about an hour and some change of work. But things, they know what they're going to do when they show up. Now, here's the thing. If you want to dabble, like you said, because I know a lot of people are curious, it's getting really popular.
And it's a goal, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want to do a high rocks competition. Let me train for this, right? So you have a goal, reverse engineer your programming. I mean, I could see that being useful. That's something different.
Great. It's
right?
a challenge, right?
But
It's like me
living in
training for
high rocks
competition.
year round, that's...
Yeah,
no,
it's like me training for competition season in jiu-jitsu. It's like, you change things up. I just start doing other things, but my volume doesn't spike like way you'd have to spike your volume for high rocks. But I could see you doing, I'm going to take these 90 days or 120 days and I'm going to get ready for this high rocks event.
Right.
But here's the thing. Obviously, recovery is going to be important. Obviously, controlling your volume. You can't train every day like you're running the race.
Right.
Right? So imagine doing that 1 hour and some change workout that I saw my former coworkers doing. And then that's a Monday. And then you come back Tuesday and you're going to do another 1 hour and some change workout. You're killing yourself, fam.
Yeah.
You're killing yourself. So.
And self-reported to you, said person doing that told them their testosterone levels and they were so low.
Yeah, so exactly, which is, that's where I was going.
And we don't have all the variables
We don't have all the variables, but I remember around that time we all got blood tests. They gave it, the company that we were working for gave us access to holistic blood work for free because we were trainers and we all got our blood work. And obviously all the dudes were in there comparing their testosterone levels. Here's what my T is, bro. How you doing? And this said person was low. What's low? It was 90. 90.
90.
Go back to the levels that I just referred to as normal.
300 was low normal.
To 1,000.
Yeah.
So that kind of falls in line with what I'm telling you here about this study, right? 90 is it's extremely, extremely low for a male that is into fitness and into watching what they eat. Now, we don't know. We don't have all the factors, all the lifestyle factors of this. I'm sure alcohol was a thing. If you're trying to do high rocks and you're still drinking, that's going to be a problem because alcohol kills testosterone. Not eating enough. Like if you're going to train for this stuff, your caloric intake is going to have to go up.
And also, we've been looking more into, and I've heard a lot from my friends Danielle and then a sports dietitian, Brooke, about intra-workout carbs.
Yeah.
They probably weren't, and I don't think during a high rocks comp, you can't. But if a workout's spanning an hour or more and you're not taking in carbs intra-workout, that could be a problem, especially with the endurance type things.
Yep. Yeah. So high rocks, essentially, you'll end up doing the work, I feel like the physical stress of a marathon, you're incurring that in the space of an hour and some change.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, this is my observation. I'm speculating, okay? I'm theorizing. But if I had to say, because it's a very high intensity, very glycolytic, and then you're sustaining that pace for an hour nonstop, it's mixed modal, right? You're not just running, you're not just rowing, you're not just skiing like a marathon would be. You're doing, you're pushing a sled, you're carrying these sandbags, then you're doing some wall balls. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So training like that all the time versus I'm going to ramp up and focus on this for a quarter to do a race can be detrimental. I don't see how it isn't detrimental. And that's the mistake, going back to it, that I feel High Rocks is making, where they're making people focus on the fitness race aspect as their day-to-day fitness modality.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. And so I think pertaining to that study, they don't necessarily single out High Rocks. They lump endurance. But we kind of spoke about High Rocks because it's very much
it's
popular right now, so people can identify with it. But just in cardio bunnies, endurance-based things. And so You go on, because I want to make an observation between the two, but I don't want to get ahead. So you go on.
So, pointing to it, High Rocks now is what triathlons were 20 years ago. 20 years ago, everybody wanted to do a triathlon. That was the ultimate measure of fitness.
Yep.
Now it's High Rocks. Anyway, so what happens, these guys, your body's going to adjust, right? And the use it or lose it model, all of that, your body's going to adjust your set points on things. And what happens is that they adjust their set point of testosterone to a lower level. So now you can't even produce beyond a certain level. This is why a lot of these people end up on TRT. Same thing happens to bodybuilders that start doing a lot of performance enhancement earlier. Earlier in life, they end up, they adjust the set point. Now your body can't produce naturally, so you have to go on hormones. So these guys, it's the same thing. The body adjusts the set point to a lower level where they can't even produce beyond a certain level, a certain amount of testosterone. Their fertility seems to be affected. This is what happens when testosterone levels drop too low for too long. Okay, they start having issues with sperm quality. So they're slowly but surely becoming infertile. That's one thing. Bone density is an issue. I didn't know this. I didn't really know this because I know women, if you have estrogen issues and things like that, bone density can be affected. But I didn't know that testosterone does that for men too.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things with androgen depleting therapy of prostate cancer. Men who have that, they're at higher risk for osteoporosis. And so prior to initiating androgen depleting therapy, they should have a bone density. Did that happen with my father? No. Am I angry about it? Sure am. But anyway, so yeah, I did know that.
So bone density issues. Here's another one, visceral fat, which I think we're going to leave that for another episode, but visceral fat, if your visceral fat goes up, you start having metabolic issues out the wazoo.
So this is the thing with men as they get older, and everyone has seen this. In some women too, but I just think it's more common in men, that hard belly, that's rock hard. That to me, visceral fat, low testosterone, metabolic inefficiency.
Yep, which visceral fat is that deep belly fat. You might not think you have a big belly, but you could have visceral fat issues. And this is just fat in your abdominal cavity, just choking out your organs. And it's creating a cascade of hormonal issues.
And inflammation.
Yep. Testosterone also plays a part in blood sugar regulation.
Yes.
We haven't talked about it here, but I remember posting a couple of years ago about a study on testosterone where they were given men that were, low on testosterone and they were having pre-diabetic issues, and just bringing up their testosterone levels
helped with insulin
sensitivity. This is before they even started working out and that sort of thing. So their conclusion is like, hey, there's a relationship there between testosterone levels and your ability to regulate blood sugar. And sleep gets messed up if your testosterone's low. Now you have intermittent sleep. So, and then you fall into this cycle. It's like, I can't sleep well because I don't have enough testosterone, but I can't produce testosterone because I'm not sleeping well.
Yep.
That is a conundrum, to say the least, right? And then obviously you got the cortisol flood where now you're running on cortisol, and I'm sure women everywhere can relate to this, where you're just kind of burning out.
Or are you going to talk about the positive things about resistance? So,
what do you mean?
That was a study against resistance versus endurance. You only talked about endurance.
The guys that fared better in this are guys that actually balanced out. So this isn't a PSA or commercial for don't ever do any type of endurance bias training. It's a PSA for, instead of running 6 days a week, you could run 3 days a week and then put in some strength training the other days. And now you're fighting the catabolic nature of endurance training and the hormonal depleting nature of endurance training with the hormone producing nature of resistance training. So the guys that did that fared way, way, way better in their androgen profile, right?
Yeah.
So, conclusion here, guys. Don't turn yourself into a cardio bunny. Just lift some freaking weights, balance that shit. And this applies to women too, honestly. We're talking about it in the framework of testosterone, but women tend to fall more easily into that cardio only thing.
And they get, so a couple things. One thing to wrap that up. I was just telling some friends about this study that I would argue, and this isn't true for everybody, but I would argue people who do endurance are less likely to be following a program and having a coach than somebody who's doing resistance training. Okay? Because you can just go out and run
Yep.
for 60 minutes and don't need, a dedicated program or somebody to tell you how to do it. Though, should you? Yeah, I think you should follow a running program, running coaches. How is your running quality, right? It's like But people who do resistance training are more likely to be following a program and or have a coach. Now, not everybody. There's people who just go to the gym and, pick up some dumbbells, move them around, put them back down, and then go home. But if you follow a program, you're more likely to have strategic rest, strategic progressive overload, like linear progression, a thing for whatever your goal is. And so I think that that study was great, but it had a lot of gaps in it. But it does highlight, if you focus on cardiovascular activity only, endurance activity only, cardio only, you could do more harm than good if you implemented sort of a hybrid, like true hybrid rock star would be doing strength and endurance.
And the strength, like actual legit strength training, not just more endurance bias.
So for women,
training.
I think that they get kind of distracted or fooled a little bit to think that these burn boot camps, metabolic meltdowns, Orange Theory and stuff like that is strength training.
Yep, because they're touching weights.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that some of these women in these classes, they lift pretty heavy weights, right? Which is great. You're strong. But how much weight could you lift if you had 2 to 3 minutes rest and we're following like a legit program and giving your body the adequate rest, recovery, nutrition that it needs?
Yep. I think I compare that to when we were doing CrossFit, and then you'd have days where it's like, hey, we're doing a 5x5 back squat today. And we're like, oh, that's boring. But then when you get under some heavy weight, your world is rocked.
Yeah, and you're like,
afterwards.
They're like, rest 3 minutes. Oh, there's so much time. And then you get to like the set 4 and 5 and you're like, can I have 2 more minutes?
Exactly.
Please?
Like you're rocked. And it's like, that's the stuff that's actually going to change your body. Right.
Yeah.
Now I think it's really popular mentioning the hybrid athlete. Like people are putting that on their bio, and a lot of these influencers are transitioning to that sort of model. And it's kind of funny because it's almost like we rebranded CrossFit now. But anyway, a lot of these people, I'll use this guy, Nick Barr, as an example. He's got 1 million followers. Dude looks great. He's a big dude, muscular dude, but he runs marathons and does triathlons and stuff. And he's very popular. And when people ask me about like the hybrid, oh, but look at Nick Barr, bro, he's jacked. How does he do it? Oh, first of all, if you listen to Nick Barr talk, he'll tell you how much he eats. Dude eats like a pro. Okay. He also has a lot of time to do recovery modalities and that sort of thing.
Yeah. If you're working a 9 to 5, really
if
hard
you're
to recover.
not going to be able to eat 8,000 calories a day and sit on your butt for a couple hours and do all the recovery modalities, and you got to go chase kids and that sort of thing, that's probably not going to be your model for fitness, right? And listen to what we're saying. We're talking about using these competition modalities and these sort of thing as your long-term fitness modality. There's a difference between competing in Ironman and using all that training as your long-term fitness modality. There's a difference between preparing for a high rocks and using that as your long-term fitness modality. But a guy like Nick Barr, who I happen to have been in the same unit in the Army, he was a young lieutenant, now is a company commander. And when people ask me and they use him an example, oh, he's jacked. I'm like, dude, I remember when he was a youngster and he was already big. He's a big dude.
So genetics
are a part here, okay? Yeah. He was already towering over all the other lieutenants. Or he
had been fostering a big strength base for a long time.
No doubt.
He didn't just stumble
I don't know
upon
what, he might have played football or something in high school. I don't know his background from high school, but when I was in the same unit as he was a bigger dude. And he was post-Ranger school, which is really
depleting.
That's depleting, one of the most depleting things you could ever do. And he was still big. You see what I'm saying? So like people like, no, but he does it. I'm like, listen, this is a big dude, genetically speaking.
Yeah.
Let
And
alone when all the cards are in the right place.
everybody responds differently to things. So to see Nick Barr and say, but he does it so I can do it is not, we can't follow that modality. You could want to achieve what he does and maybe subscribe to some of the concepts he
and take
uses.
some of the, yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
But you can't do exactly what he does unless you lead the lifestyle that he does. And then you got to get up his butt and figure out what that is. And I guarantee you're not doing that.
Yeah, and it's the same thing as like, I like, some sprinting program that, I don't know, Saquon Barkley's does. I'm not going to do the same thing he does. I'm going to maybe take like, oh, he does this little, okay, maybe take a little grain of rice from there and then do your thing, right?
Yeah, that's what what I've said repeatedly, going to Summer Strong and hearing Ryan Krauser talk. He's
world record holding shot put throw.
Yeah. And the stuff that he prioritizes, I'm like, I'm never going to be a world record shot put. I mean, I've done stone throw, which is like the strongman version, Highland game version of shot put. And it's like, but I can still take the concepts of he trains in a way that he can recover from. It's not every single day he's hammering it. He's alternating doing heavier with lighter, just getting the movement pattern down, focusing on recovery, focusing on nutrition. So those concepts he uses, I can do that and work that into, well, what are my goals? Do you have a goal? And then what's my lifestyle? Okay, well, I work these days. I can only sleep this amount. So then I need to make my nutrition, and so it's just taking the concepts, not trying to duplicate what somebody's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was, man, we went in on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can I go into my interesting study?
Sure.
Yeah, it's quick. I stumbled upon a study and I then wrote an article because Dan and I are writing for Sports Illustrated Everyday Athlete series. When I say Dan and I, Dan is still working on his first article.
Guys, I mean, I got
I just submitted my fifth.
Story of our lives.
Okay. But anyway, the study saying that hydration and your cortisol reactivity are related. Okay. So I won't go into the nitty gritty. You can look at the study if you want. It's, I'll say the name of the author. It's Daniel Kashi, Kashi et al., September 2025. And so
Kashi, like the cereal?
Yeah. I read it on the Journal of Applied Physiology. And so the title of the study is Habitual Fluid Intake and Hydration Status Influence Cortisol Reactivity to Acute Psychosocial Stresses. Okay? So what are psychosocial stresses? Psychosocial stresses. There we go. What are those? So they are transitions in life can be one. So I always tell people change is hard, even if it's good or bad, right? So getting a new job, moving into a new house, getting married, someone you love passing away, a change in your normal day-to-day, a transition is a stressor. Work-related stress, finances, emotional stress, all these things are psychosocial stresses. You can have a more amplified cortisol response if you are suboptimally hydrated, okay? Cortisol is super popular. I have low cortisol. I have high cortisol. It's gotten a lot of fame because we have more chronic little pokes of stress every day that we aren't able to recover from, as opposed to 500 years ago, somebody attacks our village or a bear comes, we fight it off, and now we're okay, and we have, days and weeks of a lull in activity, right? Or stress. That's not realistic anymore. We're confronted with boom, 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 all these different stresses. And with cortisol, when you're confronted with the stress, you'll release epinephrine, norepinephrine, just boom, boom, right away. Cortisol comes in about 10 minutes later because the body makes it real quick. It doesn't store it, so it has to make it. And then the stress happens, and then, stuff comes down. Epinephrine, norepinephrine will break down and go away rather quickly. It takes at least 1 to 2 hours for cortisol to start to break down. So you're still having that. And cortisol tells the body to make more blood sugar and put it into and put it into the muscles so it has energy. It says, hey, don't worry about digestion. Don't worry about reproduction right now. We need to focus on being focused and aware, remembering things, being heightened, okay, for survival. How many people do you know that they're just vibrating high and they're heightened all day, right? So their cortisol is probably chronically high. So what happens is you can have chronically high cortisol, but then as a result, it can just go, and then you can have a blunted cortisol response, then you can have chronically low cortisol. Both can happen. The symptoms are different, but I'm not going to get into that. However, if you are not adequately hydrated, that cortisol reactivity can be heightened. Therefore, it takes longer for it to come back down and be broken down and taken away. So if you drink more water, you can have a more appropriate cortisol response in your body. I'm not saying that if you are well hydrated, you're just going to be skipping through life and handle all stress greatly, okay? You still will experience stress. You'll still have a reaction to it. However, you may recover from it more optimally. And so the term emotional support water bottle is actually very accurate, okay? So have your water bottle. We have ours. Mine's too full. I need to drink more.
Yeah, you know what? That reminds me, man. If you're walking around drinking water from water bottles in 2025, fam, when there you got all these
You mean plastic water bottles?
Yeah, like plastic water bottles. I mean, I'm talking about like get yourself a freaking stainless steel thing. I'm not going to promote this current
Yeti
brand. Yeah, well, I was going to say I'm not going to promote it because apparently they went woke and I don't do all that. But
oh my God. But no, so it is,
listen,
as we've always said on here, basics over biohacking, right? That's the unconventional collaborative term, but we fully support that. You know, I've heard people like, well, my cortisol is high, my cortisol is low. I need to like take this adrenal support supplement. I need to. Why don't you just drink more water first?
Yeah, make sure you put some salt on your food, you know, get them electrolytes, take a little magnesium, you know, make sure you get that.
Is it way more complex than that? 100%. Yeah. But this is one lever you can easily pull, and also being well hydrated can help with having optimal kidney function, can help with regular bowel movements, can help with skin elasticity, can help with joint tendon hydration, right? So less stiffness, all these things. So I think that this study just highlighted that there is a reason that there are shared pathways between hydration and cortisol. So why is this statistic that over 70% of Americans are suboptimally hydrated? And then we have a high rate of chronic diseases. I don't think that those are completely unrelated. Now, if you start to drink more water, that may help regulate hunger. You may eat better. So just drink more water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a stainless steel cup.
Oh, so sorry. How much? How much water? Okay. Lifelong recommendation has been 64 ounces, 64 ounces. We need to go north of that for most people. Blanket recommendations, 90 ounces for women, 120 ounces for men, which is a gallon, okay? However, and this is fluid, that's not just water. That can be including your coffee, milk. If you eat fluid-filled foods like cucumbers, grapes, melons, stuff like that. All this can contribute, okay? So it's not just water. But I always tell people as a good sort of baseline is half of your body weight in ounces. Now, if you're 500 pounds, I'm not telling you to have 250 ounces of water. Maybe for people who are severely overweight or maybe go to more of like an ideal or goal body weight to base that off of. Are you going to pee more? Initially, yes. That's okay. You're going to get more steps in, all right? You'll be fine. And watch your pee. If it's absolutely clear, like it looks like the water you just ingested, maybe we need a little bit more electrolytes, but pale yellow is a good place to be. Bright yellow, gold, dark yellow, not good. Brown, go to the hospital.
That can't be good.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to take a couple minutes here to kind of close out with...
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted to talk about this stuff, and I totally...
What?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Conversations that we've had this week that kind of stuck out. And we gave people some help. You know, we answer questions, And part of this is sharing the conversation we had, because I'm sure that there are more people with similar questions or similar situations, right? So I wanted to go into that a little bit for a couple minutes before we close out.
Yeah, I would just pick one to talk about. Which one's nearest and dearest to your heart?
Okay, how do I talk about this? Because this one, I think I had a moment this week, and I'm still a little, I'm angry. It's like, it's almost an emotional response a little bit. And I think it's a recommitment. It's a reminder of why we have this platform and why we're doing what we're doing and why I feel that this is a calling for you and I.
Right.
Okay, like there's more at play here than two people that got married and decided to just talk smack about health and fitness on the internet. It's more of it's a calling, period, point blank. I feel like we are called to do this, and this needs to happen. And because there, as many people as there are talking about health and fitness on the internet, there are not enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are not enough. And there are people out there that are, quote unquote, doing the right thing, and their results are still not great.
Yep.
Right? So I have somebody in mind, older person, mid-70s, essentially is experiencing cardiovascular disease now, when this person has never been overweight, been active their entire lives. Cholesterol levels are in check, low by all intents and purposes. Okay, we've talked about here the myth of cholesterol, right? So I was reminded of that, the myth of, oh, cholesterol equals cardiovascular disease. Well, here I have somebody who's never had high cholesterol levels, according to their medical history, and essentially their heart is completely crazy blocked, right?
So pause. They had an imaging study that showed concern for blockage.
Yep.
Imaging can sometimes be misleading. It's a great screening, because then if there's a concern like, oh, there could potentially be a lot of blockage, now we need to physically go in.
Yep.
So it's the more invasive procedure, but it's like a colonoscopy. Like, you can get a CT scan of your abdomen. There might be something in the colon. Guess what? Now you got to get a colonoscopy to go in there and look at it with a camera.
Probably
right?
That's the next step, right?
Right. So,
but I think
yeah.
I received
so
a
more
little bit of
information needs to be before you can say completely
Okay.
blocked. However,
No,
this person,
they're experiencing that, but I received a little confirmation this morning that it's a little bit more serious.
Okay.
So anyway,
well, you did not share that with me.
no, well, I'll
Understand.
but it is, this person has been active all their lives. Yes, they're older, and I get it, because people are like, oh, they're just old. No, that's not how this works. Especially
It's not
when
how it's supposed to work.
That is not how it's supposed to work. And especially when you've been doing the right thing for a prolonged period of time. Above average levels of physical fitness, especially considering their age.
Yep.
Super active, and tries to eat right. Now, here's the thing. Here's where I get angry. I feel like the information that is pushed on people in the mainstream is obviously missing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not telling people the whole truth. We're giving people bits and pieces, and a lot of it is misguided or I don't want to use that word. A lot of it is based on some conventional wisdom that was created and bought and paid for by the industry
For
that
ulterior
is
motives.
going to benefit off you not applying the right stuff.
Right.
Okay? That's why we are the PharmaPhobic podcast, because these people control more than you can ever imagine. And if you start peeling that onion, you will be shocked, right? So this person tries to do the right thing for a long time, and now here they are with something serious. It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up, right? This should be somebody, oh, they were obese all their lives. Oh, they smoked. Oh, they ate like crap. Okay, we have this cardiovascular issue. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And part of me is like, I'm like, man, I probably, you know, there's some guilt there. I'm like, I could have given him a cold shower and given him some other information, but that could ruin the relationship, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So to me, it was more like, you know what? This is why this thing, this podcast, this business, Achieve the Lifestyle, this ministry of holy health it's a declaration of war to me on the nonsense, on the BS, on the misguided, at a minimum, but it's ill-intended nonsense that they're peddling on people out there in the mainstream health space. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that in the mainstream health space, the focus is on things that unfortunately can be used for profit, like you say, on behalf of them, not by helping them.
Yep.
So emphasis on salt over sugar is one. Emphasis on cholesterol over sugar is another one. Emphasis on do these things to check boxes to be healthy without regarding the actual health of the person, right? So for an example, we know somebody who is under the age of 40, has type 1 diabetes, LDL was a little bit high, they were placed on a statin and not a low dose. Because if you have diabetes, technically you have an increased risk of heart disease. Therefore, if your LDL starts to creep up, they want to put you on a statin to help bring that down. Okay. If somebody's glucose is well controlled, they don't have a lot of inflammation. Are we checking inflammatory markers, right? Are we asking somebody who's under the age of 40, which I don't even know if statins were studied on people that young. I know years ago they weren't. I'd have to fact check to see if they have been now. But you put somebody on a statin because their LDLs are creeping a little bit high because you got nervous as a provider. Therefore, what is one of the side effects of a statin? Oh, it's diabetes, which can then increase your risk of heart disease, which this person already has. Yes. So why are you giving him something that can mess up his glucose?
It's also liver failure, which is why I refuse to take it.
Yeah, because it can cause issues with the liver, yes. And it can cause a lot of inflammation in the body, the myalgias. It also depletes CoQ10, which a lot of people aren't told to supplement if they're on a statin.
Yep.
And so, unfortunately, as conventional medical providers, we're given algorithms, right? Or flow charts. If a patient is this, put on this, put on this, put on this. If this, then yeah, put on this, put on this, which can be great in some scenarios, but it's kind of not treating the patient as a person and taking into account their whole lifestyle. It's using them as a subject. Okay, so, I mean, when I very first started, I'll just use this as an example. When I very first started practicing, we used to be told that African-American men did not respond to a certain blood pressure medication that was first line and therefore had to be on another one, which was found to be inaccurate and maybe did more harm than good by doing that because the first line blood pressure medications are also renal protective. This other one's not. So me as a provider, oh, patient's black, therefore go to this, right? Not taking into account what's this patient's kidney function? What's his lifestyle like? What's all this? Would he be more beneficial to this medication because of XYZ, not just because of his ethnicity?
Yeah.
Right? And and it's not that they've debunked that. That's not how it's practiced anymore. But I want to use that as an example because that's easier for people to understand that when conventional providers see people, it's like, oh, your LDL is over 130, statin. And your glucose, like your A1C is over 6.5, metformin, okay? Which, okay, the metformin is a little bit more benign, I think, than a statin, but we're not looking at big pictures. We're checking boxes that have been given to us from likely the pharmaceutical companies because we've learned that a lot of the screening criteria, especially for mental health disorders, are put forth by pharmaceutical companies. And then even though we've checked all the boxes, the patient's on all the medications, doing all the things they need, and now they're getting worse.
Yeah. Listen, again, we go back to that conversation about your dad and the back surgeries. He checked the fruit, right? He's like, hey, these are the results they've gotten. I don't like those results, so I'm not going to mess with it. Here's the thing. If you check the fruit, okay, of the system that we have, that we keep going to, but they have the answers. But I did exactly what they told me, and now I'm sick. If we check the result, it is decreased life expectancy. It is chronic illness that goes up and up and up, and it never comes back down. It is heart disease that goes up, and it never comes back down. It's cancer rates that go up and never come back down. You get what I'm saying? It's sick kids, okay? Kids that are dealing with stuff that would happen to a 45-year-old, now they have it at 12. That's insane. So it is, I'm starting to look at this. No, I'm not starting. I've been doing it. I just, listen.
You're starting to be more vocal.
Well, not only that, because I feel a responsibility. If I have information that can help people go in a different path and I don't say it, not ruffle feathers, whatever it may be, I am doing them a disservice, okay? And not only am I doing them a disservice, but now, if you look at it spiritually, I am actually in the wrong. Make sense? It is, their blood is on my hands, figuratively speaking. This is...
But you're not their medical provider. You only know this because they volunteered to share the information.
No. I get all that. I get all that. But I look at it in a certain way. I was like, man, this thing has to change, and we have to be a little bit more vocal about the stuff we're doing, about the stuff that we learn, about the stuff that we see, about, and help people in whatever way possible type of thing. That's why this thing exists. That's why this thing will keep going. I don't care if it's 2 people listening to it. I think I look at it as good versus evil now. Plain and simple. If you are comfortable with, and hey, we took a turn for the woo here. Welcome to episode whatever this is. We're about to get woo-woo in the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you are comfortable knowing that a drug that you are going to put out in the world is going to harm people, hello Vioxx, hello freaking COVID shots, oh yeah, we went there. Exactly.
Hello opioids.
Hello opioids, opiate crisis. Hello baby powder Johnson & Johnson. Hello Tylenol. Yo. So if you are comfortable with putting that out anyway, because it's going to be a blockbuster drug, it's going to make money, but you know already from your internal studies that it's causing problems, that's subhuman behavior, right?
Yep.
That is evil behavior. That is greed to a point where now I question not only your sanity, but what do you serve, man? It's evil. It's pure evil. It's demonic behavior. You see what I'm saying? And that's when I see people getting sick and they don't know what's going on. But I've been doing the right stuff. I've been taking my meds. I've been doing this. I can't fault them because they're doing what they were told to do, right? And I'm not saying that the doctors are at fault either necessarily, because guess what they're doing? They're doing what they've been told to do, right? So there's a whole construct that has been put together to get people to do what they've been told to do. And that's where we're getting at. We got to go up there and fight this thing. I think we're dealing with spiritual battles here more so than just physical stuff, okay? I'll close with this. And this is, I was listening to a podcast last night, and the guy said something. I was like, you know what? I think he's on something. He said, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Yep. So, and I was like, you know what? My boy is cooking right there, cooking. So that's something that I think going forward, we will probably talk about more.
Oh, I'm excited.
If this body carries a spirit, right?
Yep.
And if it's a healthy soul in a healthy body, that's been wisdom for ages. So that's why we have to take care of everything that ails this body so that your soul can do its thing and be who it is supposed to be, okay? We got dark there for a second. So we're gonna close it out. We're all about having fun here, but we sometimes we got to get to the nitty gritty. I think going forward, topics that we're gonna get into and things like that, it can get dark. It can get dark, and it could be, you could feel despair, right? Like you could be like, oh my God, it's so messed up. But know, one, that there's something you can do about it. Two, it's better to go out fighting than it is to go out on your knees. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'd rather fight and be like, get my butt whooped than to be like, oh my God, I'm just not gonna do anything. I'm gonna roll over. That doesn't work. That doesn't feel good. Okay. And hey, we're just gonna have fun doing what it do. That's what it comes down to. Anything you want to say in close?
No.
Okay, guys, that's an episode.
Thank you.
Hope this was helpful to you guys. Follow us on Instagram at
Achieve the Lifestyle.
If you need help or you need some health coaching, where do you reach us?
Email at info@achievethelifestyle.com.
Or hit us on the DM at Achieve the Lifestyle, because it do go down in the DM as well. And that is a show, guys.
Yeah.
Till the next one, stay pharma free. Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website at achievethelifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.